This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist CJ Cartledge.
Good morning, everyone. I'm First Alert Meteorologist CJ Cartledge here on the KSLA First Alert Weather Breakdown. We're still dealing with the icy impacts here from this weekend's winter storm, and we should deal with the icy impact throughout at least the rest of today and into tomorrow. We may not even start to see this ice melt here around the Arklatex until tomorrow afternoon, where temperatures will be rising well above that freezing mark around the Arklatex here. But joining me for today is our morning anchor, Dominique Ben here to talk with us about the latest deaths that we have seen from this weekend's winter storm. First of all, what are your thoughts on this winter storm that has already passed through the Arklatex?
Well, good morning, CJ.
Good morning.
We all get excited when we think of like snow and things like that. And so I was excited until I heard it was going to be more freezing rain and sleet, because I knew that was going to cause some problems. I lived in Virginia for about 4 years, and so this was normal to have snow in the area, inches of snow. And on a good day in Virginia, I lived on the Newport News side. I had to travel to Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
And so my drive normally was like 20 to 25 minutes. Well, imagine snow. Of course, they are a little more used to it. They're used to it with all of the equipment, so the roads were clear. But it would take me like 45 to 50 minutes, almost an hour, to get to work in Virginia. So I can pretty much, my husband and I can pretty much deal with it here. I think the first day that it was coming down, he brought me into work. I spent the night here on, was it Saturday night? We've been on the air almost wall to wall at some points. I know yesterday morning, or was it Saturday morning, we went live, and then Sunday morning we were on for like 6 hours straight. Yeah, and so then I finally went home just to take a break, see my kids, and I'm back this morning. Came in and we started our show at 4 o'clock this morning because, you know, as people are waking up, they're seeing the black ice, and it can be a little deceiving for you, especially when you're driving in. So we did slide a little bit, but then what you do is, you know, you slow down, take your foot off the gas, don't press the brakes, and try to straighten up, and really just stay on those tracks that some people before you, if they've driven it, then you kind of stay in that area where you're not on fresh ice.
Right,
So.
exactly. I understand all of the streams, and
you're from Baltimore.
yes, I'm close. I'm very close to Baltimore, where I'm
that's
from.
right.
I'm from Southern Maryland,
Okay.
but it's pretty much the same deal. I've dealt with all the snow and ice. I even have snow tires on my cars, but I did not attempt to drive out there, even with the snow tires, because you know it's ice on the ground, and that's a little bit different from snow. It has a little less traction as compared to snow.
Right.
It's a bit more dangerous here, but you know exactly what how to deal with the snow. You definitely took your time, as you in the past when you were driving through snow. You said it took around 45 minutes for a 25-minute drive, and just staying on the safe side. So that's definitely a good thing.
And it took us, so my husband brought me in again this morning. It typically takes me no more than 15 minutes to get here from Bossier, and it took us, I think it was 35 to almost 45 minutes.
Oh,
this
wow.
morning.
Wow.
Yes.
It's better safe than sorry, right?
Yes, better safe than sorry. I will say, even though, you know, one of the lanes is kind of cleared, like they've moved a lot of the ice over to the left lane, but it's still slippery. So if it looks deceiving, like you can just fly through there, but you can't. But, I mean, it's really, really wet, and it's really, really slick out there.
Right. And then black ice is something that people, you know, don't really take too seriously. They just think it's like a puddle, but it's actually smooth ice. You can clearly slip on it, and you know, tragic things can happen. So that's the reason why we went on stream earlier this morning, just as you said. But yes, we're bringing you on for today to talk about the latest death that was unfortunately reported here as a result of this weekend storm. So tell me a little bit of the details about it.
Okay, first I want to talk about yesterday, Louisiana Department of Health, they confirmed that we had 2 deaths here in Caddo Parish in Shreveport area long. And so, you know, 2 men found outside, and we're trying to get more information on that. But it's just so unfortunate. You don't want any deaths, especially the number of shelters that we've constantly tried to put out there. First of all, if you know somebody that's out in the cold and they don't know like where to go or whatever, try to make sure they get to a shelter. We have the Salvation Army, we have the rescue mission, we have so many shelters in this area, not to mention the lighthouses. They're at the Highland Center, Morning Star Baptist Church. I think both of them are open today from 10 until 4. And really, like, for example, we had earlier, was it 60 something thousand people still without power?
Yes.
So if you need to go and charge up your phone, if you live in these areas and you don't want to travel far, you can go to the lighthouses. You can plug into their electricity there, and you can charge up your phone. There's food there, there's blankets there. So it's nice if you need to get away and you don't have power to go to these places that are built and open for this. I think Morningstar, this is the first year, and they said they learned after one of the previous snowstorms, ice storms, that they needed to provide this to the community. So that is provided in the Moortown area, and that's one area that was severely impacted yesterday with a lot of the power outages. The third death we were able to confirm this morning. I spoke with DeSoto Parish Sheriff Jason Richardson, and he did confirm to me that an elderly man was found inside of his home. Unfortunately, there was a generator in his garage, and his 2 pets died as well. We're trying to get more information. The call came at around 4:45 this morning. We're going to be doing a story on generator safety because a lot of people, you may not know. I mean, it's all over the boxes, I'm told, but when you just want to get into that box and open it up. But really, those generators, of course, you can't put them inside of your home. You can't put them inside of a garage. They have to be a good distance away from your home, because what they do is they give off a carbon monoxide, which is odorless. You can't see it. But what it does is when you go to sleep, it's like a slow death. It's a silent killer because you can't see it.
Right.
And so just pay attention. If you're going to get a generator, if you have a generator, listen to Jeff Horshak's report tonight, and he's going to be talking about the proper use of a generator. And our hearts go out to the families of these 3 men that were lost in the freezing temperatures, the 2 in Shreveport, and this elderly man in DeSoto Parish inside of his own home and his pets. So it's heartbreaking, but I do want to reiterate there are shelters out there as well. Also, I want to pass along in DeSoto Parish that a lot of the roads, Sheriff Richardson, they're getting worse, because we are at freezing temperatures. And so they're going to be closing some roads in that area, LA 175 between Mansfield, and then I think he said 315 and Highway 5, and then also 509. I think it's a problematic road, and it becomes impassable with a lot of the curves. That's going to be closed. And also, I did speak with Mr. Tarish Chapman. He is the Public Works Director for the City of Mansfield. He is wanting us to push out to let people know you need to boil your water if you live in the Mansfield area, because of there's low water pressure or no water pressure. So they are saying to boil your water until they tell you that it's safe to drink, bathe, or whatever in it. So they're trying to pinpoint why the pressure is low, why there's no water in some areas. They can't do that just yet until they get the utilities and the electricity back on, because you got to be able to see what you're doing. And so DeSoto Parish, of course, we said yesterday, one of the parishes that was hardest hit with some power outages. And let me just remind you that SWEPCO, give them some grace. They are working as hard as they can. They have brought in crews from other states. We know Arizona, Indianapolis, also, just all over. They have over 5,600 additional resources that they have here that they're staging at the Louisiana State Fairgrounds in Shreveport, and as well as Texarkana, Arkansas. There's a staging area up there. And so, they're working as hard as they can. I know that when I spoke to Mayor Arsenault the other day for Caddo Parish, their public works crews are working in 12-hour shifts, so that's 24 hours. They're trying their best to keep the roads, to clear it out as much as possible, or put that salt down, use the snow plow. I believe they have 2 snow plows that they just got with his administration, starting with his administration, and so they are able to use it this time. And so, if you don't have to get out, don't. I know some of the grocery stores are open for a limited time today. If you are running out of, items or things that you need to stock up on at home. I did check. I think we were checking also if you don't want to get out, what other food delivery places are available. So we're going to check on that as well.
Thank you so much, Dominique,
Yes,
for
welcome.
telling us all that information. That's definitely useful, and we're going to be sending our thoughts and prayers to that one person who had recently just died because of the carbon monoxide poisoning, potentially from the generator, and the 2 other that have died on Saturday as a result of this weekend storm. Thank you so much for.
Let me ask you this. I wanted to make sure I got it right, and I know that you guys always talk about this in weather with the generator. I know it's like colorless and
and odorless as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is a good time, I guess, to get carbon monoxide. What is it? The carbon monoxide alarms or whatever in your home. So if you have smoke detectors, make sure you get a carbon monoxide. I didn't even think about this like 20 years ago. You just think about a smoke detector, but now it's like, as the climate changes and we're seeing more and more different snow activities each year or whatever, you got to think about that if you're going to be using a generator or even not. Like I have a gas stove at home, and so I want to know, and a gas fireplace. So I want to know if there's a malfunction that carbon monoxide will be picked up.
Yes, for sure. Definitely need the carbon monoxide detectors and the smoke detectors just in case, some leaks happen and unfortunate deaths that may happen as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode for today. Sure. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, CJ.
Yes, of
have
course.
A good day.
Yeah, you too. And now we're going to be taking a quick break, and then we're going to be diving into the forecast here with meteorologist Jake Lambright, who's going to be joining me on the podcast here. So make sure to stay tuned right after this quick break. And good morning, everyone, and welcome back. So we're going to be diving into a little bit of the local forecast here around the Arklatex, and also a bit of more of a recap from what we've seen so far in this winter system, or at least throughout this winter system, as it is now passed and the cooler air mass is finally moving through the Arklatex as of right now. It has moved through just last night. Joining me once again here is meteorologist Jake Lambright to talk about what we saw throughout this weekend and his thoughts on this winter storm and its impact here. So I want to start with you first. How do you feel about how bad this system, this winter storm has gotten this weekend?
I mean, for us in the Shreveport-Bossier Metro, I think we've been pretty lucky. I know some of us are dealing with lower water pressure, but we kept the lights on. Of course, we've had some outages around, but we have kept we've kept the lights on, which has been good. Still, I'll just kind of recap that. I think my mic was a little quiet, but still dealing with some water issues. Power, though, we were lucky in our part of town to not really lose power. I know Shreveport as a whole got really lucky because I was looking at some very preliminary totals from sleet and freezing rain. We hardly got any freezing rain in Shreveport. In fact, I'm going to double check some numbers here. And again, when I pulled this last night, it was very preliminary, but we got about 1/10 of an inch here in Shreveport, and those totals are going to change as more reports come in. We'll give you the first alert whenever we've got some solid estimates out there. When it came to sleet, those accumulations were about 2.5 to 3 inches across Shreveport. So if we saw all of that as freezing rain, then would have been big problems. We've seen that to the south in DeSoto Parish, and also to our east. If you've seen photos out of the Monroe area, the amount of freezing rain that accumulated on their power lines and their trees is amazing. Just the trees and lines at ULM alone, trees are splitting. They've been without power on parts of campus. So in Shreveport itself, we fared pretty good, but I know that there are parts of the Arklatex that have dealt with higher impacts.
Yes, that definitely is true. It's a good thing that we received here in Shreveport mostly sleet. It is kind of still a bad thing, obviously, because all that sleet is now frozen on the ground. But from the National Weather Service, I believe that the estimated total was actually 3 inches at the National Weather Service in Shreveport, and around 2/10 of the sleet that was reported as 3 inches, 2/10 of that was ice accretion, which is pretty much the ice film right on the very edge or on the very top of all of the sleet here that has fell as a result of this weekend storm here. And the highest total, guess the highest total that we've seen around the Arklatex this weekend from what we've seen on reports from the National Weather Service chat.
When it comes from freezing rain or sleet?
In terms of sleet.
I'm going to go with 4 inches of sleet. I have not looked at chat yet, so I'm guessing blind here.
Well, the highest total was actually 6 inches of sleet near Ringgold in Bienville Parish. So they got a whole bunch of sleet out there, at least in Bienville Parish, and more of the southern portions got around freezing rain, or more than likely freezing rain. And I believe the highest total in terms of freezing rain was around 1/2 inch, I believe. Is that what you have seen, Jake?
And again, when I pulled these totals yesterday, they were very preliminary. I saw about 3/4 of an inch out toward kind of the Ringgold area that you were talking about, or a little south of that. But kind of that DeSoto and most of Red River Parish seems like they got the most freezing rain. Also, some iffy reports of about 1 inch of freezing rain up toward McCurtain County. But again, those are very preliminary. I need to pull those numbers again today now that we've got some newer data in.
Yeah, that's definitely, so it definitely left an impact here around the Arklatex, and expected to keep that impact here for the next couple of days here. Do you know about any of the temperatures that we've seen since you worked through the morning shift this morning? What was the lowest temperature that you've seen on observed temperatures so far for this morning here?
Oh, goodness, you're going to have to forgive me. I do not remember the air temperatures as much, really focused in on our feels-like temps. We got down to 19 here in Shreveport. We'll have to wait and see if that's the official number, but 19, but our feels-like temperature tipped down to 7 degrees. 7 this morning. It was cold.
Wow.
And there were, I think Mount Pleasant felt like 3 or 4 degrees at some point this morning. I mean, it was, like you said, it was pretty chilly out there.
Yeah, I didn't mean to quiz you right now, but I'm really a nerd about all the stats and the numbers and all that, but I didn't mean to quiz you right there, put you on the spot there. But yeah, we definitely got some cold conditions out here around the Arklatex this morning.
Yes, and to think that we're going to do it all over again, maybe even a little bit cooler with air temperatures tomorrow morning. I mean, I'm almost shivering here just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow morning is definitely going to be very similar to what we saw this morning here around the Arklatex. And a lot of people were sledding throughout the weekend. A lot of viewers submitted photos, saw sledding. And we even saw a little bit of thunder snow. And if you did not hear it, that was more than likely through Saturday night here. Not so much through Friday night, but it came through that second batch of wintry precip that we saw here around the Arklatex. So it definitely left the impact, and it's still expected to stay here on the grounds for at least the next couple of days ahead of us here. I'm going to read some of the Facebook comments that we have seen coming in. Somebody says, y'all, please stay safe and bundle up there in northern Louisiana. We definitely should do so. Out there around the entire Arklatex as well. But thankfully, we'll see a warm-up later this week, right? What have you been seeing?
I have been seeing that warm up too. Thursday is going to be our warmest day, but then right behind it, another cold front crashing us down into the 40s for highs once again, and possibly teens during the overnight hours. I believe it was Friday night into Saturday. So it's going to be chilly once again. Just got done kind of tweaking the forecast once again.
Yeah, definitely winter-like weather on the way, and it's much different from how we started off the year of 2026. Remember, when you had just started, you were coming in with temperatures in the 70s for highs, 50s for lows, 40s for lows. This was definitely not winter-like weather, but now winter seems to be here and in full effect for sure. So yeah, we're definitely dealing with winter as of right now, and through the next couple of days, we'll be seeing a bit of a warm up here. Not much rain on the way for us either. There were some speculations about some wintry precip by the upcoming weekend around the Friday time frame, around 3 days ago, but we're not seeing much of that anymore. What do you think, Jake?
I agree. And I was about to actually ask you. We got to address the rumors. This
Yes.
morning, I was caught off guard. Our morning anchor, Dominique Ben, asked me, she's like, well, we've got viewers asking about next Monday. We're going to see this all over again, more, wintry precipitation. And I had to look closer. I looked at all of the models, multiple runs back into yesterday, and I wasn't seeing anything. So if you hear that going around, right now it's not looking like we're going to see another winter storm next week. What I think is a possibility, and this is where CJ is, we all know as meteorologists, like it gets a little hairy with these details, but if you saw in the 12-day forecast today, some unsettled weather probably picks up into next week, some rain chances, but highs are going to be in the 50s. So far we're looking good. Of course, if there's any kind of frozen precipitation to worry about, we'll give you the first alert, but if there's confidence in it. But I'm not even seeing rogue model runs spitting anything out for now.
Exactly. And with this winter storm, we were seeing consistency 7 days out. 7 days out. So last Saturday or Sunday is when we started to see that potential for this past weekend storm. And with the next week's potential weekend storm, we're not seeing any consistency out there on the models. Pretty much what Jake has said. So it looks like it's going to be a dud. It looks like it's going to be mostly dry by that time frame. But as Jake mentioned before, we are seeing a bit of some potential for rain here around the Arklatex by the end of the 12-day period. And believe it or not, we're almost in February. Can you believe it? Time is flying out here, Jake.
Time is flying. It's hard to believe I've been here almost a month, and wow, I mean, we've covered so much. It was super hot when I got here. We've covered some tornadoes since then. Of course, just getting settled here at KSLA, and now this big winter storm. It is crazy what's happened in a month, or really just about 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely you definitely jumped into a pretty active time for this time of year here, especially since it's the winter, since the Arklatex, which is kind of it's kind of wonky to me. When I first came here, I did deal with a winter storm as well as severe weather around the winter time, and I'm not used to seeing that. You may be used to seeing that since you're from Marshall, since you're from around the Arklatex, but it's definitely an experience for me. Coming into a market where you see severe weather in January, it's like, it's supposed to be cold out here, right?
Right. I mean, winter weather for us is a little bit more rare, but I mean, I've seen systems before where we've got a big severe weather risk. We have confirmed tornadoes, and then behind it, we go from 75 that afternoon to 25 by the next morning.
Oh,
it's just
my
crazy
gosh.
to think. And I better find some wood to knock on. This year so far, I mean, we've had a couple severe weather events, but nothing crazy. I mean, I've worked, just in my 4 years in the television business, I've worked a few major severe weather events during the winter time. And so far this year, we haven't had much of that. And again, we've been very lucky, very fortunate in that sense.
Yeah, that's definitely very fortunate for sure. If you had to forecast a weather event, just to say in the future, not calling anything out just yet, what would you want? What would be the most exciting thing for you to forecast?
As far as like what's in our forecast for the next couple days, or just types of weather?
Just in general.
Just in general, I prefer, and I know you might disagree with me on this one, I prefer forecasting severe weather over winter weather any day.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Because it's you think it's a bit more exciting, or what's the reasoning behind that?
I don't like the destruction, the damage, and potentially injuries and fatalities that severe weather brings. But I mean, we live in the Arklatex; it's inevitable. It's just I enjoy forecasting it in a sense. I don't like for it to happen, but when it comes to forecasting a big weather event, severe weather, I understand it better, and of course understand severe weather and its impacts in the Arklatex. So I do, I guess, enjoy forecasting it a little bit more as I understand it. Whereas where you're from in Maryland, snow, ice, all of that's very common, and so it's a little bit easier to forecast winter weather up there. Whereas for us, models don't know how to handle it, so our data's bad, and then we have to question ourselves in our own forecasting process. And
Right.
whereas with severe weather, like for us, that's more common. So getting that knowledge in school and I guess having a better understanding for it compared to winter weather, it makes it a whole lot easier. If I had to forecast for like a big impact event that's high stress, again, severe weather for me is the easiest. And I can go a little bit further into the forecast if that makes sense.
You know what? That makes perfect sense, Jake. And I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast for today and talking about the impact that this storm has left here on the Arklatex. And we're going to be talking more about the details on the extremely cold temperatures ahead of us with the extreme cold warning, as well as in the warm up, as we can see through the rest of this work week coming up. So once again, thank you for joining me for today, Jake.
Thank you, CJ.
And we're going to be wrapping up this episode here for today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. sharp, where we will be talking about another trivia episode. We're going to be I'm going to be bringing on one of our coworkers, and we're going to be testing the knowledge of the coworker here at KSLA team member, I should say, and testing you guys out there in the audience on weather trivia. This will more than likely be tailored to this past weekend's event here. The questions will be. So make sure to, study up, and so you can get all of the questions right here. There'll be 4 questions. One of them will be true and false. So once again, thank you guys for tuning into the episode for today. I'm streaming live here on YouTube, Facebook, as well as on the KSLA News 12 app. And you can catch me on KSLA News 12 at noon and 4 p.m. Chief Meteorologist Matt Jones will be back on the green screen at 5, 6, and 10. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure to stay warm and stay off of those roadways.